We live in a world where men are often starved of the one thing that drives them at their core, the need to be respected. People assume men want flattery, shallow praise, or empty acknowledgement, but none of that cuts to the heart. The compliment that makes a man go crazy, the one that awakens him, is simple yet powerful. Recognition of his strength, his effort, his ability to carry weight and not collapse. That is the essence of respect. When you tell a man, I respect what you've built. I respect how you handle responsibility. I respect the way you stand firm when life demands more than most could endure. You are giving him the fuel that expands his chest, straightens his spine, and pushes him further than he thought possible. Respect is not decoration, it is nourishment. Men are wired to struggle, to carry, to build, and to protect. They do not find their worth in ease or comfort. They find it in the recognition of their endurance. Think about it. When a man's efforts are unseen, he begins to shrink. He questions his purpose. But the moment his effort is noticed, he comes alive. He becomes sharper, stronger, more disciplined. A single phrase that acknowledges his resilience can move him more than years of empty applause. That is why the most powerful compliment is not about appearance, not about charm, but about effort and integrity. When you say, I admire how you keep going when it would be easier to quit, you are not just giving him words, you are giving him meaning. And meaning is what every man fights for. Here is the truth. Every man is engaged in a battle, whether others see it or not. He is carrying doubts, fears, and failures on his back. He wakes up every day with an internal war raging between what he is and what he must become. And when someone acknowledges his strength, in the midst of that fight, it changes him. It confirms that his struggle matters. It assures him that his sacrifice is seen. This is why the right compliment can make him go crazy. It affirms his deepest hunger. Men do not live for comfort, they live for challenge. They do not live for shallow approval, they live for earned respect. The compliment that makes a man feel unstoppable is rooted in recognizing his capacity to endure, to lead, to rise when the world tries to crush him. Now, understand this clearly. Respect cannot be faked. Men know when words are hollow. What shakes them to their core is authenticity. When someone genuinely sees the weight he carries and acknowledges it, that acknowledgement has the power to transform his energy, his vision, his will. He will work harder, fight stronger, and build higher because someone dared to speak truth into him. Men are not fragile creatures needing coddling. They are warriors needing recognition. A man does not crave to be told he is perfect. He craves to be told that his imperfections, his scars, his battles, and his persistence, in spite of them, make him valuable. That is what unleashes his strength. So here is the call to action. If you want to bring the best out of a man, if you want to awaken his fire, then give him the compliment he is starving for. Acknowledge his respect, his effort, his courage to keep standing. It will not only change how he sees himself, it will change how he shows up in the world. Respect is the key. Recognition is the fire. Admiration is the spark. Together, they create a man who is unstoppable. And the truth is this: the right words at the right time can build a warrior, and the wrong silence can break him. So never underestimate the power of genuine respect. Because when you give it, you're not just speaking to his ears, you're speaking to his soul. Every man, no matter where he comes from, no matter his status, no matter how hardened he looks on the outside, has one unshakable need burning at his core: to be respected, not flattered, not indulged, not pitied, respected. Respect is the lifeblood of his identity. It is the recognition that what he does, who he is, and what he stands for carries weight in this world. You can tell a man he is handsome, and he might smile. You can tell him he is charming, and he might laugh. But when you tell him, I respect you, something inside him shifts. His spine straightens, his eyes sharpen, his chest expands with a sense of meaning that nothing else provides. Respect is not decoration, it is oxygen. Without it, he suffocates. With it, he thrives. Think about it. Men are not built to live easy lives of comfort and indulgence. They are built to carry weight, to take on challenge, to stand in storms and refuse to break. And the most powerful reward for that struggle is not comfort. It is recognition. recognition that his fight matters, recognition that his effort is seen, recognition that his sacrifices are not wasted. Respect is the deepest form of acknowledgement because it goes beyond words and touches identity. The compliment every man craves is not about appearance, not about status, not about popularity. It is about his strength to endure. When you say, "I respect the way you never quit," even when it was hard, you are giving him more than affirmation. You are giving him meaning. That single phrase can move him more than applause from a crowd because it reaches his core drive. The hunger to know his struggle is not invisible. Men carry silent battles. They face doubts in the dark, fears they cannot speak, failures that haunt them, and yet they get up. They keep moving, they keep building. And when someone acknowledges that, when someone says, "I respect the way you handle your responsibilities," or "I respect the way you lead when everything is falling apart," you have spoken to the warrior inside him. That respect turns exhaustion into fuel. It transforms burden into pride. Understand this clearly. Men do not crave respect because they are fragile. They crave it because respect is the reflection of their purpose. A man without respect becomes hollow. A man with respect becomes unstoppable. He will fight harder, stand taller, and aim higher when he knows that what he does has value in the eyes of others. But here's the truth. Respect cannot be faked. Empty praise is poison. Men can smell dishonesty immediately, and false words fall flat. Real respect comes from seeing the weight he carries and acknowledging it. Respect says, "I see the discipline you live with. I see the sacrifice you make. I see the strength it takes to hold steady when the world tries to shake you." Those words ignite him because they tell him that his silent fight has not gone unnoticed. This is why respect is more powerful than love, more powerful than admiration, more powerful than any shallow compliment. Love without respect becomes pity. Admiration without respect becomes flattery. But respect stands as truth. Respect affirms his identity as a man capable of enduring, protecting, providing, and leading. It affirms that he matters. Every man is wired to pursue challenge, to prove himself against resistance, to measure his worth not by ease, but by the weight he can carry. The respect he craves is the acknowledgement of that struggle. When he receives it, he does not just feel good, he feels alive. He feels necessary. He feels like his fight has meaning beyond himself. This is why history is filled with men who conquered, built, and sacrificed not for money, not for pleasure, but for respect. Empires rose and battles were fought because men would rather die with respect than live without it. That is how deep this hunger runs. Respect is not a luxury for men. It is a necessity. It is the fuel that drives them to keep pushing when they are exhausted, to keep building when everything falls apart, to keep standing when the weight seems unbearable. So if you want to understand the heart of a man, understand this. Respect is the deepest compliment he craves. It is not about stroking his ego. It is about affirming his existence. It is about telling him that his struggle matters, his discipline matters, his persistence matters. And when he receives it, he becomes more than just himself. He becomes a force, a protector, a leader, a builder, a warrior who will not stop until he fulfills his purpose. Respect is oxygen. Respect is fire. Respect is the deepest compliment any man craves. And when you give it authentically, you do not just touch his mind, you touch his soul. You awaken the very thing that makes him rise above his pain and turn his struggle into strength. Respect does not just compliment a man, it transforms him. A man is defined not by what he says, but by what he does. Every step he takes, every burden he carries, every sacrifice he makes is a piece of the identity he is building. But here is the truth. No man can survive on effort alone. The fire inside him is fed when his effort is recognized. Recognition of his effort fuels his identity. It tells him what you are doing matters. Who you are becoming has meaning. Your struggle is not invisible. Men are wired to endure, to push, to fight battles others will never see. They get up when they are exhausted. They carry weight that breaks lesser spirits, and they keep moving when quitting would be the easy path. But what ignites them, what sharpens their edge, what hardens their resolve, is knowing that someone sees that fight. Recognition is not vanity. It is fuel. It turns silent struggle into purpose. Understand this. Men are not asking for handouts, not begging for sympathy. They do not crave pity. They crave acknowledgement of their effort. When you tell a man, I respect the way you work, I admire how you keep going when it's hard, you are not giving him comfort. You are giving him identity. You are reminding him that his pain, his persistence, his late nights, and his unseen discipline all add up to something meaningful. Without recognition, a man's spirit can shrink. With recognition, his identity expands, his sense of self becomes solid, and his vision grows sharper. Recognition is not about flattery. Flattery is empty. It fades in seconds. Recognition is about truth. It is about looking at what he has built, what he has endured, and calling it out with honesty. I see what you're doing. I see the way you fight for your future. I see the way you stand tall when everything around you tries to break you. Those words strike deeper than applause because they speak to the reality of his fight. And here is the critical point. Effort is the foundation of identity. A man who works, who struggles, who bleeds for what he believes in is not just doing tasks, he is shaping himself. His effort becomes his character. His persistence becomes his backbone. His discipline becomes his definition. And when someone recognizes that, it reinforces the truth that he is not invisible. It affirms that his identity is being carved out of sweat, resilience, and grit. Men are builders. They build families, careers, legacies, and futures. But no builder works without knowing the structure is seen. Imagine a man who spends years laying bricks in silence, never once hearing that his work matters. Eventually, the fire inside him dims. But imagine a man who is told, your work matters. I see how you are building. I respect the way you carry this weight. That man becomes unstoppable because recognition strengthens his identity and identity drives destiny. Recognition also carries responsibility. It cannot be cheap. It cannot be false. Men do not respond to lies. They respond to truth. If you recognize his effort, do it authentically. Speak to the discipline, the fight, the unseen hours. When recognition is real, it does more than compliment him. It transforms him. It hardens his spirit against defeat and lifts his vision higher than before. Every man is living a battle others may never understand. He wrestles with fear, doubt, and failure, often in silence. Yet he keeps moving. And when someone acknowledges his endurance, it becomes proof that his suffering has not been wasted. It tells him his story matters, his path matters, and he matters. That recognition fuels his identity as a man who is capable, resilient, and worthy of respect. Think of history. Men have crossed oceans, built empires, and sacrificed their lives not for money, not for comfort, but for recognition of their effort. To be seen as warriors, protectors, providers, leaders. That is the fuel. Recognition is what makes them rise again after failure. Recognition is what makes them fight harder after defeat. Recognition is what etches their names into legacy. So hear this clearly. Recognition of his effort fuels his identity. Without it, he questions who he is. With it, he becomes unstoppable. Recognition is not weakness, it is power. It is the reminder that his sweat has meaning, his struggle has purpose, and his fight is shaping him into more than he was yesterday. A man does not live for comfort. He lives for progress. He does not crave empty praise. He craves the acknowledgement that his work, his pain, and his effort are building something greater. Recognition is the key that unlocks his potential, sharpens his vision, and drives him toward becoming the man he was meant to be. Recognize his effort, and you will watch him rise. Recognize his effort, and you will watch his identity solidify. Recognize his effort, and you will awaken the fire that makes him unstoppable. Every man carries within him a spark of potential. It sits quietly, waiting, restless, and untapped. But potential on its own is nothing. It is raw energy, directionless, dormant. What transforms that spark into fire? What converts ability into action? What takes possibility and turns it into reality is admiration. Admiration turns potential into power. It ignites something in a man that forces him to rise, to channel his energy, and to become more than he thought possible. Men do not crave hollow applause. They do not live for shallow attention. What they crave, what they are wired to respond to, is genuine admiration. When someone looks at him and says, I admire your discipline. I admire the way you keep standing. When life knocks you down, those words hit harder than any cheer from the crowd. Why? Because admiration acknowledges his becoming. It sees his potential and affirms it, transforming it into living, breathing power. Potential is fragile. It dies when ignored. It shrinks when mocked, but it explodes into strength when admired. Every man has felt it. The moment someone he respects speaks admiration into him, suddenly the weight on his shoulders feels lighter, the mountain ahead looks climbable, and his vision sharpens. That spark becomes a blaze, and the man who once doubted himself begins to fight with unstoppable force. This is why admiration is not trivial. It is not soft. It is fuel. Admiration is not flattery. It is the recognition of strength in motion. Flattery inflates ego, but admiration builds identity. It says, I see your struggle. I see your persistence. I see the man you are becoming. Those words do not just touch his ears. They touch his soul. They remind him that the potential within him is real, and more than that, it is worth developing. Understand this clearly. Potential without admiration risks being wasted. A man may have all the talent in the world, all the intelligence, all the raw energy, but if no one ever affirms his growth, he may let it rot. Admiration calls him forward. Admiration demands that he step into his strength. Admiration is the mirror that shows him he is not just capable, he is powerful. History proves it. Men have gone to war, built nations, invented breakthroughs, and achieved greatness not merely because they wanted success, but because someone admired their fight. A father's words, a mentor's recognition, a partner's respect. These small sparks of admiration transformed ordinary potential into extraordinary power. The man who was told, I admire your courage, found himself braver. The man who heard, I admire your work, labored harder. The man who knew someone admired his persistence endured longer. Admiration reshapes his psychology. It gives his struggle meaning and his vision urgency. But admiration cannot be counterfeit. Men see through lies instantly. False words do not ignite. They insult. Real admiration has to be rooted in truth. If you admire his effort, say it. If you admire his resilience, speak it. If you admire his discipline, let him know. That truth fuels him. That truth reminds him that his grind is seen. That truth transforms sleepless nights and endless battles into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. And here lies the power. Admiration creates responsibility. When a man is admired, he feels the weight of expectation, and that weight makes him rise. He does not want to let down those who believe in him. He channels his potential with precision because he knows others see greatness in him. Admiration builds the bridge between what he could be and what he must become. Think about it. Every great leader, every warrior, every builder of legacies carried potential. But what pushed them past doubt was the admiration of someone who believed in their fight. That belief turned into energy, that energy turned into discipline, and that discipline turned potential into power. So if you want to awaken the best in a man, if you want to see his potential evolve into greatness, then offer real admiration. Admire his grit, his effort, his courage. Admire the way he stands when the world wants him to fall. Admire his persistence in the face of failure. That admiration will not just encourage him, it will transform him. It will forge a man who no longer doubts whether his potential matters, but knows that it must be unleashed. Because admiration is not just a compliment, it is ignition. It is the spark that transforms what could be into what must be. It does not just tell a man who he is, it calls out who he can become. Admiration turns potential into power. And when that power is unleashed, it is unstoppable. A man does not rise to greatness in silence. He rises when his strength is seen, when his courage is acknowledged, when his persistence is affirmed. Words that affirm his strength ignite his drive to conquer. They do not flatter him. They do not soften him. They sharpen him. They awaken something deep in his spirit that pushes him to climb higher, fight harder, and refuse defeat. Every man walks through battles unseen by others. He wakes up with doubts. He wrestles with fear. He carries burdens no one else will ever know. And yet he moves forward. That movement alone takes strength. But when someone recognizes that strength, when someone says, I see the way you stand firm, I see the way you keep going when everything pushes you to quit, those words strike his core. They fuel him. They give him more than encouragement. They give him fire. Men are not moved by empty compliments. They do not crave pity or hollow applause. What reaches them is truth. Words that affirm his strength remind him of who he is, not who the world says he should be. They remind him that he is not weak, not broken, not wasted, but powerful, resilient, and capable of carrying more than he thought possible. That reminder can transform hesitation into action and doubt into determination. Think about it. Potential is useless without ignition. A man may carry talent, energy, and ability, but without the spark of affirmation, he can leave it dormant. When someone acknowledges his strength, it awakens responsibility. It tells him, you have what it takes, now prove it. That is the turning point where his drive to conquer is born. Affirmation does not make him soft. It makes him dangerous. It calls him into battle with himself and with the world. History proves this. Men who shifted the world did not rise from comfort. They rose from challenge and often from the words that told them their strength was real. A soldier at the brink of collapse who hears, you are stronger than this moment, finds energy where he thought none existed. A builder who is told, your vision matters, lays the next stone even when his hands bleed. Words carry power, not because they flatter, but because they affirm what already exists within. And here lies the truth. Men often forget their strength. They get lost in the grind, overwhelmed by the weight, blinded by failure. Their own reflection sometimes deceives them into believing they are not enough. But words that affirm their strength act as a mirror, showing them what they cannot see in themselves. That mirror is not fantasy. It is truth. It reminds them that they have already endured storms, already carried loads, already proven resilience, and if they could endure yesterday, they can conquer today. But affirmation must be real. False words weaken, but true words fortify. Men are not fooled by lies. They know when affirmation is hollow. Real words cut deep because they speak to reality. I respect the way you keep standing. I admire the way you take responsibility when others run. I see the strength it takes for you to hold steady. Those words ignite because they are true. They fuel the warrior within, not the ego. When a man's strength is affirmed, his identity grows solid. His confidence becomes rooted not in arrogance, but in reality. He knows what he can endure, and he is reminded that his endurance has value. That knowledge transforms his mindset from survival to conquest. He no longer asks, can I do this? He declares, I will do this. His drive to conquer becomes unstoppable because it is fueled by recognition of what already exists within him. This is why leaders, fathers, mentors, and partners have such impact. Their words carry the power to ignite or extinguish. Words can break a man, but they can also make him. The difference is whether those words affirm his strength or attack his spirit. When you speak into his strength, you are not inflating him. You are awakening him. You are giving him the fire to take on the mountain in front of him. So understand this. Words are not just sounds. They are fuel. They are weapons. They are sparks. The right words at the right time can transform hesitation into courage and fear into relentless drive. Every man has potential, but not every man conquers. The ones who do often had their strength affirmed at the exact moment they were tempted to give up. Words that affirm his strength ignite his drive to conquer. They are not decoration. They are destiny. Speak them with truth, and you will awaken a man's fire. Speak them with honesty, and you will see him rise. Speak them into his soul, and you will watch him transform from someone carrying potential into someone wielding power. Because when a man's strength is affirmed, he does not just survive, he conquers. And when he conquers, he does not only change his own life, he changes the world around him.